News Desk on SiliconANGLE TV for Thursday, August 1st, 2013. As server virtualization has matured, along with facing competition from many cloud competitors, VMware's core hypervisor market threatens to be commoditized. Join us now to discuss the maturation of virtualization is Wikibon Senior Analyst Stu Miniman. Good morning, Stu. Good to have you.
Hi, Kristen. Thanks for having me again.
So, Stu, what do VMware's strong recent earnings announcements tell us about the state of competition for virtualization?
Yeah, so I think we talked about a month ago. There's been a kind of a gaining buzz around the industry that server virtualization is really becoming a commodity. That VMware's days of really owning the marketplace and being dominant with huge market share numbers are over. Of course, VMware comes out not only with good earnings but good predictions for their revenue going forward, and all of a sudden Wall Street's happy, stocks way up. What I guess I would caution is that while VMware is definitely doing well, and from all checks that I have with users that I've talked to, is people like them, VMware definitely is going to face a lot of challenges. On the positive side for VMware, one of the big things we heard from their earnings is that their enterprise license agreements are way up. So this is always real good because these are customers that are fully in on VMware. They're not going to be trying to decide when they buy a new server whether they use VMware or a competitor. Since they have an enterprise license, every server that they put in, they're going to use VMware. However, for those customers that don't have enterprise licenses, we definitely know that companies are looking at other hypervisor environments. As a matter of fact, Wikibon just is launching a big survey that we're doing of end users to talk about multi-hypervisor environments. Really want to dig into where customers are using certain applications, for which hypervisors, what are the kind of drivers for those different pieces. So if you watch Wikibon on Twitter or me at Stu, look for those links where we're looking for definitely feedback from the whole community as to what are the drivers for people choosing those other hypervisor environments. We've got plenty of our own ideas as to why they are, but definitely want to check those and validate them with the community.
Do you think VMware can continue to deliver competitive differentiation with its hypervisor?
Yeah, so there's always the big challenge is if you're familiar with the innovator's dilemma, when you've got a clear leader in the space, they listen to their existing customers, they keep adding feature and functionality, kind of go up into the right, listening especially to their big customers, those ones that have the enterprise licenses. And the challenge is it makes it more difficult for VMware to keep prices low, and they kind of get that feature bloat. I saw a recent Gartner report that they talked about at the Gartner conference where they were trying to list I think it was over 100 different features that VMware has, and how do Hyper-V and Citrix and KVM stack up to those environments. When choosing a hypervisor, I think that's actually a little bit flawed because we look at Microsoft Hyper-V customers. One of the main things they're going to want is really to put their Microsoft applications. So, Gartner's dinging Microsoft because they don't have Oracle Linux support, and I'd be shocked if there's a Oracle Linux customer that really is going to run Microsoft. They're going to run OVM, just as the Oracle environments are going to mostly be running Oracle applications. So it's really, as David Fleur would always say, horses for courses. There are applications and reasons why users are going to choose hypervisor environments. Microsoft apps fit well for Microsoft. The people that are doing, a lot of development work, DevOps, especially OpenStack type environments, are looking at things like KVM. So back to your question though, can VMware stay differentiated? I think they can for a while, but it is the expansion of deeper functionality in things like networking, what they're doing with NSX, the Nicira, and their own networking pieces with storage. They've got vSAN functionality that we're expecting to hear more about at VMworld later this month. So VMware can differentiate, but it is at the risk of being disrupted some underneath from some of the other less expensive hypervisor solutions. And as you mentioned, cloud is another angle that we need to keep a close eye on.
A friend of the show, Scott Lowe, wrote an article on Wikibon's blog this week talking about how Hyper-V is Microsoft's secret weapon to bring customers into the Azure cloud. What are your thoughts on his angle, Stu?
Yeah, I think that's a real interesting discussion there. So if customers are using Microsoft environments and they go use Hyper-V, that's kind of that gateway drug to be able to go to Azure. So there's a tight tie for Microsoft because they own both environments. VMware's answer, of course, is what they're doing with their hybrid cloud environment, but it's not as close of a tie. And to be honest, while there definitely are service providers using, vCloud, we actually did a peer insight earlier this week with a company named Bunami, who really likes VMware environments. They offer alternatives also, but most of their customers are using VMware, and their services, their public cloud environment is based on VMware vCloud, so customers can use that environment. But VMware's own cloud, I've heard kind of mixed results. I don't think they're expecting to be, lots and lots of customers signing up. They definitely have customers, but they're definitely not ready to challenge Microsoft Azure, or surely not, the big, public cloud guys like Amazon and Google that are coming on. So, I definitely think there's that discussion about private versus public and how that interaction goes. VMware has a couple of angles that they need to go at it, but they need to work on their go-to-market. They need to really work with their ecosystem, both the technology and channel partners, to help drive that. And there's been a little bit of tension between them as VMware's also offering their own solution.
What do you think it is about the vCloud hybrid service that hasn't caught on as well as Amazon AWS or Microsoft Azure?
Well, first of all, Amazon had, a huge lead. I think it's 2006 when Amazon first launched. So they've got a lot of customers, and Amazon's a great platform for test dev environments. Their pricing is really excellent on that. If you look at where VMware's trying to come at things, they're not looking for really your test dev environments. What they're trying to be is offer a cloud version of what you have in-house. That's a little bit tougher. It's further along that journey towards cloud. So applications that I'm comfortable running virtualized in my own data center, I want to run it as a service. So it's more of a leap of faith. It's more expensive, and it's tougher to get there. So, what Microsoft Azure and Amazon have can kind of grow into and build those use cases and environments that it makes a lot of sense for, as opposed to VMware's trying to cut straight to the chase and get some of those meaty applications. So it's a longer sales cycle. It's more of a jump for customers to do that. So I'm not saying that it's a dead strategy, but it's a lot harder to execute on.
So do you think that vCloud hybrid service has a future?
My real take on it is I think VMware needs to prove that model really well. I think they're better off driving those through service provider partners. If you look at what EMC is doing with their Velocity program, they've got a lot of service providers signed up. You see a lot of the converged infrastructure and some of the storage vendors, selling to those service providers. It's going to be hard for VMware, who's built so much of their business driving through the ecosystem, to be able to offer their own service that can, as well as drive that same kind of software product through their service providers. I think they are better to go through their service provider partners.
Well, Stu, thanks so much for your analysis this morning. It's been great talking with you.
Thanks so much, and just a reminder again that we will have that survey. Please look at Wikibon and at Stu. We'll also be sending emails out and probably posting things on Wikibon, and be sure to look for the research that we'll be publishing prior to VMworld.
All right, thank you so much. And still to come here on SiliconANGLE TV, a hotel built so quick, if you blinked, you may have missed it. But next, SiliconANGLE Senior Managing Editor Kristen Nicole stops in to give us a preview of what we can expect from this evening's Moto X event.